Welcome to Masonic Memories, where we chat with senior members of our lodge and reminisce about events, people, and their contributions to our fraternity. Pull up a chair, grab a coffee, and listen to the way things were back in the day as we meet on the plum, act on the level, and part on the square. We're going to chat with Walter Demoorjian, who became a Mason in 1966 and Master of the Lodge in 1981. He received the Joseph Warren Medal in 1997. Walter was an electrical engineer at Gamewell and worked on the first computers used in submarines. Walter has fixed or repaired almost anything that ever broke in our lodge. Walter designed and made and installed the wainscoting frames that are in our lodge today. Hello, Walter. It's nice you could come over this afternoon and we can chat.
Okay, fine.
Let's start at the beginning. Why did you join the Masonic fraternity and how old were you when you did it?
I had a neighbor during a trip there. Family went to the Congo church. And they're originally from New Hampshire. He had about 70 children. I knew the father was a Mason. When I was in high school, going to Sunday school. I'd go to Sunday school with the boys on the church there. I never was a member of the church. I just went to Sunday school. My mother said Sunday mornings put a tile in and go to church.
That's funny. I went to the Congo church for Sunday school, and Frank Stan Eunice took me. He was my neighbor. And he had 3 or 4 daughters, and he would pile me in the car and go. Yeah.
Yeah. And the minister was Reverend Cummins there, and he has 2 youngest boys there.
How many people did you join the lodge with?
Who?
How many people were in your class when you joined?
There were 4 of us in the class. Me, Cliffy Fenton, Del Smith, and some Licata. Del Smith was a real estate on Bolton Street there, opposite the now the Whitcomb School there. Before
a White Ranch.
Yeah. And Cliffy Fenton was an automobile salesman. He used to go all over New England selling automobile parts for like CAP and stores like that.
Any differences from when you joined to how we do it now?
Yeah, there was less joking around in the lodge there. It was more serious.
Who was the master when you joined?
Arthur Whitmore. He was a World War II veteran. He worked at Hathaway Field for the Air Force. They had an attachment there, and he was an airframe mechanic. I
thought Bob Goodrow, he must have been senior warden when you were master, or when you joined?
I think Goodrow was a past master. There's Goodrow, Bob Bailey.
You sponsored Joe Vickers? Is that right?
Yeah, Walter's father, yeah. Well, it had to be in the early 70s.
Early 70s, okay.
Yeah, we was at a commandery function. And he had a neighbor lived across the street. And Archibald lived in that house now. I guess he could talk with Joe on account of his granddaughters. Forearm down. And so he wanted to join the Masons. McCartney was active, and he was a member of the lodge, active in commander too. He says, Joe Vickers wanted to join the Masons, but he was a member of the United Brotherhood. But when we took in George Walker and Charlie Brown, he was friendly with another fellow from West Virginia, and they demitted from the lodge.
Why did they demit?
The rebels. George Walker was first, and Charlie Brown was 2 months after him.
I was unaware of that. The both of them, and they were, at coalitions and in the lodge and stuff.
Yeah.
I never knew they left.
No, they didn't left. Holly McCartney and this other fellow with it. He was a 2-year AAA ball player, and demitted from UB.
Okay, so Harley, what's his name?
McCartney.
Holly McCartney left UB because of George Walker and Charlie Brown and went to Trinity and Clinton. Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me.
Virginia or West Virginia. He was a good ball player, played AAA ball, played maybe a few years in the majors too, back in the 50s and 60s or something. But Howie McCartney was a man.
Just so everybody knows,
Yeah.
George Walker and Charlie Brown, both black.
Yeah, and then we went into Shrine. We put him in, we sponsored him for Shrine. And when they come up for ballot, the old black ball there. And so I wrote a letter to the application for the Shrine at the time. Said you had to be a member of English standing of the Scottish Rite. And I wrote him a nice letter back and says, I'm not a Scottish Rite Mason, I'm a York Rite Mason. And I don't have to be a member of the Scottish Rite to join the Shrine. And so we didn't sponsor Shriners for a few years after that.
Oh, the United Brethren didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Until finally, finally they had a black guy who went in, was a Scottish Rite Mason, then they let other people in.
Wow. Okay. Who appointed you in line? Do you remember?
Al Kramer. He was electrical engineer from New Jersey. He came up from New Jersey with RCA when they opened up the plant.
You worked for Gamewell
Yeah.
as an electrical engineer?
So electromechanical.
Okay.
I was an associate degree. I wasn't a full engineer.
And you worked on computers within submarines?
That was before I went to Gamewell. In the winter of 58, the spring of 59, worked on the Kenmore School, worked on the first solid state computer for the Nautilus submarine. They had a contract for 10 computers. At that time, it was going to be they had a contract for one 19-inch rack mounted thing there. And they had a power supply, what's called a power supply. And they call what they call hardware at that time was like to support. There was no software, no such thing as software at that time. We had a couple of drawers, 5 or 6 inch drawers, 19-inch wide for you pull out, and they had 5 by 6 printed circuit cards in there. And each of them cards was equivalent to roughly 1 chip now. For navigation. The sun would come up at nighttime, surface, take a shooting of the stars for the location.
Can you tell me about Frank Stan Eunice?
He was a World War II veteran. He worked at General Motors with Russ Brouse back in the middle 40s. He worked for Polaroid and Waltham. He went to school at night. He had his family, his grown kids. He had a family who went to school, 7 or 8 years at nights, and he got his full electrical engineering degree. And he was in maintenance at Polaroid and Waltham for all the different buildings. Bill Wright was treasurer for Frank Stan Eunice. My one were Bill Streeton, Senior one, and Dick Johnson, Junior one there. But about halfway through the term there, Bill Streeton originally he worked for Raytheon, and at the Northrop plant, they made semiconductor diodes or something, and that's what he did down in New Jersey. Raytheon bought a company, he moved them up to here, and then he was a year or two in Marlboro there, with Raytheon there. Then he got an offer from a company in California to go up there and make him a vice president.
And then he passed away of breast cancer.
Yeah, well, it was heredity in his family. His father and his grandfather had it.
What can you tell me about the old building?
When I was in grammar school, 4th or 5th grade, there, rainy days we're walking down Main Street or something, Newton Street area, playing and messing around. And we'd go up to the Newton Street door. up to the second floor and walk down the length of the hallway about the main street door there. At the top of the stairs, Eddie Craig said he used to do the same thing when he was in grammar school. If you went up through the Newton Street door at the top of the first landing, which would be the second floor of the Masonic Hall, the building there. On the right side, there was a little apartment house, 2 or 3 rooms, could have been 4 rooms or something. A fellow named Walter Norman lived there with his wife. They had no children. And downstairs was eventually was a Rock's barber shop. But before that, it was some doctor's office.
And then did Russ Brous move into that apartment later?
No, Russ never lived there. Russ Brous lived down further on down Newton Street. Old building there. We had Russ street level stores, Allen's department store. These are all brothers who had businesses. The drugstore at the corner, the Rexall was a Rexall drugstore. Brother, he was originally, he was a druggist at the time of the fire there. And then Vassal Jewelers was a brother.
What jewelers, Vassal?
Yeah, Vassel, George. There were 2 Vassal brothers. One was in Marlboro, one was in Hudson. Lodge room. You notice in the pictures of the lodge room ceiling, the heavy beams running across the ceiling there. Sprinkler system shown in there. That must have been taken back in the 1910s, 20s or something. Because I think in the 20s or 30s, they put in a sprinkler system in the building. And they cut through the beams there, the pipes there, the water pipes there. And but at the time of the building, they called it an auxiliary for mutual aid. And the fellow was fireman from Southborough was opening the valve in the corner of the Main Street there, which would be the southeast corner. And he opened the valve too fast. You're supposed to crack a little bit at a time. He opened it too fast, and he blew the line out. So we had no water pressure from the tank up on Fremont Hill. Everett Russell was a fine, he told me that after.
And that prevented the sprinklers from working?
Yeah, the sprinklers, yeah, and the outside, I don't know what they call it, firewall on the south wall, starting from the top of the roof line. They call it what a fire curtain was. But I never knew how that works. If it had to be a dry line.
Well, Everett Russell, he worked at the fire. He was in the Marlboro Fire Department at the time?
Yeah, he was a brother, and he retired as a captain. His father was a fireman. His sister's family, his father and grandfather were both firemen. A lot of old names we have. Part of the shoe factories there. Alden Pomeroy, past Master Joel I have. There was a Pomeroy Shoe Company, also in Marlboro.
So where were you on the night of December 7th?
I want to back up a minute.
Okay.
In the old lodge room we had when I was joined here, we had the broken column in the secretary's corner of the lodge there. Lodge storeroom, west corner of the 3rd floor. That would be at the corner like the Main Street and Newton Street. In that corner there was a storeroom for all the lodge and chapter and Eastern Star supplies in there, paraphernalia. So if you went up, you came up the stairs from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor. You went into the anteroom, and if you went straight through that, you were going east of you. You went to the members' door, going into the lodge room. If you went from to the left of that, you went down to the candidates area, prep area, and off of that little short hallway to the left there again, was we call a ladies' parlor. In that ladies' parlor, we had a sign painting there. Somebody during the Civil War veteran or something had donated it to the larger corporation. There was a signed picture, a personally signed picture of Abraham Lincoln hanging on the wall. There was some needlework, about 2 feet by 2 feet, needlework of the Lord's Prayer. We lost that in the fire. So we had a little library, there's a bookcase on against the Newton Street wall there. And for some reason, before the fire, nobody ever reads them books. Was donated to the library. So we donated to the library, and a few years later, after we moved back in the building, I went up to the library and I said, "We want to see, take them books back. You don't want them no more." And she said, "Yeah, they're still in storage or something." And so after they get settled, and a few years later, and they said, I want to take the books back. He said, "Oh, we threw them away." Also in what we call the ante room was a tiler's desk there. Inside of that was not like a bookcase, drawers had 7, 8 drawers in it. And they kept the officer's apron and collars in there. And next to that was a wall, on the left-hand wall, and they had a plaque there about 2 feet by about 3 feet high. And it had the names of all the veterans of World War II in there, brothers who were veterans there, who lost that in the fire. One of the drawers had photographs of members who were suspended or committed. There was 30, 40 pictures in there. The thing they had people who were suspended or committed crimes. They're not supposed to be entered in any Masonic lodge. Anybody could open the drawer and look at the pictures. I was coming back from, I'd been down to Providence for the day, and I got back about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, back home, Brook Street. And then I walked up to the steps at Washington Court there, and watched the fire there. It was a cold view again. You're getting those water spray coming down across the street there. And so I stayed there till about 12 o'clock watching it.
We have a picture of people opening the safe that fell from the 3rd floor down into the basement of the lodge.
Yeah, the front safe was on the right-hand side. I think he's got a cane or a crutch or something. In the middle is Dick Carini, and on the left is Russ Krause.
That was a couple of days after the fire?
Week after the fire. The chapter took their books up to remind, and they had them rebound, but the lodge never did theirs.
Walter, how many things in our lodge have you fixed or repaired?
Oh, many things. There's electrical work, outlets, switches, light balance. I did plumbing, carpentry, concrete work. I didn't do no paint. I hate the paint.
Walter, where did you get the idea, and you should get a lot of credit, for the framework that you put in our current lodge?
Yeah, I pre-cut a lot over there. Before I started up in the corner, the northwest corner, on the north wall, for about a year, I put up had 2 patterns there. One was a square pattern, and one was a notch corners. And let the people look at them and see how they get used to them or something. Then they settled on the square corners. Originally, I wanted to make a U-shaped circle thing instead of being a square, but I couldn't find no lumberyard that had that good arm like that. But you could get them in the Bottom magazine. You could get them in styrofoam. But that molded one, it matched straight molded. I got the molded from Merle and Caldwell. They measured it and took it. I recut them and assembled them and painted them. And then took them up there and I made some jigs they were on 4-foot senders, and I made a jig that I would take off the ceiling panels, drop a plumb line, and put the top horizontal and the bottom horizontal. Then I would put on the left and right verticals, and fasten them with some liquid nail, and add drill, and then I put some little liquid nail holes holding it pretty good there, because I couldn't use the studs on the wall in the building. All the metal studs on the wall are on 24-inch centers.
Where did you get the idea?
I just seen it from other buildings, and watch the city council meeting. They have something similar to that in the city council chambers.
Who's your best ritualist you heard?
I can't tell what, I think it's past master tonight. Demoorjian and Dick Carini. They spoke loud. They would have no speaker system at the time. They spoke loud.
And that was a problem, wasn't it? I remember Dick Jacobs couldn't hear. Sea Captain. I can't think of his name. He would sit. Marcus Dahl. He couldn't hear either, and he would turn up his hearing aid, and it would hum and everything, but he couldn't hear very well either.
Yeah, Marcus Dahl was a Norwegian. He was an old whaling boat. He left money to Scotland, started a scholarship lodge. Scholarship fund.
And he moved out to Santa Barbara, California.
Yeah, his daughter was out there. Highlights of every meeting, they talk about all the different coalitions that back in the middle 1800s, late 1800s, and buy a bushel of oysters for $2 or $3. That's started from 1860. They all have separate records from 50 years, 1860 to 1910, 100th anniversary, 1960, 150th anniversary. In the records, it tells of the Spanish-American War around 1898. Members who served with the lodge with the Jurassic volunteers. They start with a band from Lincoln Street. They march down Main Street to the old train station, was with the corner of Main and Florence Street, where the Savings Bank is now. We just read the paper the other day, and there's some new tenants in there or something. Savings Bank used to be downstairs for the records or something, but there's some new stores are going in there now. And then when they return, they come back by train different times, and the van would meet them there, and they'd march up Main Street up to the Armory. They'd have a dinner up on the top floor of above the Sonic. Well, the top floor banquet hall was actually not above the lodge room. The lodge room had a high ceiling. It went from the third floor to the roof. But the lodge room was about the same size as what we have now, roughly 45 by 60. 45 by, 60. And from approximately from where the west wall is to the Newton Street sidewalk property was about 25 feet. That's where that included where the old anteroom would be, and the ladies' parlor. And above that was the banquet hall. And the kitchen was in the northwest corner. You had to carry all your groceries for supper. You carried on all the trash bags or in buckets after supper or collation. The fire was a windfall for the building. was a big white elephant. And I mean, we survived the urban renewal program there. And, but if that building that was still standing, we would have had to put in elevators, it would have cost a fortune. And so I think it was a big white elephant. So that was a good thing in a way. Even though we lost a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the same thing for World War I. They were members would go in groups, different groups there. We'd have two bands leading from the armory down Main Street, down to the old railroad station at the corner in Maine where the bank is now. And they would go to Birmingham. And they would come back the same way, and we'd meet them there, and then they would, and every time when the two groups would get out of the service, the lodge would have banquets up on the top floor in the banquet hall.
For all the veterans, or did you have to be a Mason? For all the people that came back, all the veterans that came back?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was all in the records. And at the time of World War II, this guy Ray Fonts was a secretary of the lodge before Dick Temple. And there was not one word, I should say no, there was one or two words in the records that World War II was over. That's all it said. No names, no parties. Just that the war was over. Going back a little history, during the Civil War, Samuel Boyd, he was a brother. He owned most of the shoe factories in town. When they went away, he gave soap and razor blades, not blades. They didn't have the safety razor at that time there. They gave them soap and they gave them toiletries and stuff like that. And he supported the families. He gave them food and rent money for the members and non-members of the lodge who were in the service during the Civil War. I think the two biggest gravestones in Marlboro are in what's called the Rock Lawn Cemetery off of Stevens Street now. 6 or 8 feet long, about 4 feet wide, and about 4 feet high. One of them is Sam Boyd, and the other one is for Leroy Gregg. They're almost side by side on the east end of Rock Lawn Cemetery. If you went in from Stevens Street and you went straight through down to the end there, they're in that area. I think they're bigger than anything I've seen in, I can remember being in Maplewood is the old one too.
Who's Leroy Craig?
And his uncle.
Was he a Mason?
Yeah, he was past master. He was president of the First National Bank.
No, Samuel Boyd was not a past master.
No, he was a brother, I know. A lot of shoe factories, Boyd and Corey and Boyd. Just Boyd by itself and just Corey by itself.
Well, anytime you want to come back and tell me some more or think of something else that's of interest, you have an open invitation.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. It's a good day. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. There will be more chats with senior members of our lodge. We will reminisce about colorful characters, the 1975 fire, past activities. You may learn where our lodge furniture came from, who made our altar, and hear about the infamous pink degree.